Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Astronaut, where cosmic curiosities drift gently into dreams and the universe unfolds at just the right pace for peaceful contemplation. Tonight we're embarking on perhaps the most extraordinary journey imaginable, one that stretches from the very first moment of existence to this quiet instant as you settle in to listen. We're going to trace the grand story of time itself, from the Big Bang to now, and I do hope you'll find it as soothing as it is wondrous. Before we begin this gentle voyage through the cosmos, I'd love to know where you are in the world right now and what time it is for you. Isn't it rather fitting that we're all scattered across different moments, different time zones, yet somehow we've all arrived here together in this shared experience? If this peaceful journey through space and time brings you comfort, or perhaps helps you unwind after a long day, I'd be ever so grateful if you'd give the video a like and maybe subscribe. It helps this little corner of cosmic calm reach others who might need a moment of tranquil wonder too. Now, I do hope this isn't so fascinating that it keeps you awake, but if it does, well, at least you'll drift off knowing something beautiful about how everything began. So settle in. Slow your breathing and let's begin our story at the very beginning, because somewhere in the space between heartbeats and the turning of galaxies lies the most remarkable tale ever told. Imagine, if you will, that everything you've ever known, everything that has ever existed, was once smaller than the period at the end of this sentence. Every star that's ever twinkled in the night sky, every planet that's ever spun through space, every breath you've ever taken, all of it compressed into a point so impossibly tiny that it defies imagination. This isn't science fiction or philosophical musing. This is where our story genuinely begins, in a moment so profound that we call it the Big Bang, though it was neither big nor particularly bang-like, at least not in any way we might expect. 8 billion years ago, give or take a few 100 million years, something extraordinary happened. Space and time themselves began to exist, not expanding into some pre-existing void, but creating the very concept of place and moment as they unfolded. It's rather like asking what's north of the North Pole. The question itself becomes beautifully meaningless, because there was no before the Big Bang, no elsewhere for it to happen. Time, that gentle river we feel carrying us from moment to moment, began its flow in that instant. In those first unimaginably brief moments, the universe was nothing like the peaceful, star-filled cosmos we see today. It was a seething ocean of pure energy, so hot and dense that matter as we know it couldn't even exist. The temperature was trillions upon trillions of degrees, hot enough to make the core of the sun seem like a cool spring morning. But here's what's rather wonderful about it all. Even in that chaos, the seeds of everything beautiful were already being planted. The universe expanded faster than the speed of light itself, which sounds impossible, until you remember that it wasn't things moving through space, but space itself stretching, like a balloon being inflated, carrying everything along with it. This period, called cosmic inflation, happened so quickly that if you could somehow have been there with a stopwatch, you wouldn't have had time to blink before it was over. In less than a trillionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a second, the universe grew from subatomic to astronomical in size. As the universe expanded, it began to cool, rather like how your breath feels cool when you blow it out, even though it starts warm in your lungs. And as it cooled, something magical began to happen. The fundamental forces that govern everything, gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces began to separate out from the unified field they had been part of. It's rather like watching a complex dance where the dancers gradually move into their individual positions, each taking on their role in the grand choreography of existence. Within the first few minutes, and I do mean minutes, the universe had cooled enough for the first atomic nuclei to form. Hydrogen, the simplest and most abundant element, came first, followed by helium and tiny amounts of lithium. This period, called Big Bang nucleosynthesis, was like the universe's first cooking lesson, learning to combine protons and neutrons into more complex recipes. But here's the thing that always strikes me as rather poetic. For all its violence and chaos, those first few minutes created the hydrogen that would eventually become the water in your morning tea, the helium that makes balloons float at birthday parties, elements born in the crucible of creation itself. But the universe wasn't quite ready for stars and planets yet. For the next 380,000 years, space was filled with a hot, glowing plasma, opaque as thick fog. Light couldn't travel far before bumping into charged particles, so the cosmos was bright but invisible, if that makes sense. It's rather like being inside a glowing cloud, surrounded by light but unable to see anything clearly. Then came what cosmologists call recombination, though it's a bit of a misnomer since electrons and nuclei were combining for the first time, not recombining. As the universe cooled to a mere 3,000 degrees, roughly half the temperature of the sun's surface, electrons finally settled into orbit around atomic nuclei, forming the first complete atoms. Suddenly, light could travel freely through space for the first time. The universe became transparent, and the cosmic microwave background radiation, that ancient glow, began its journey across space. We can still detect this radiation today, a gentle whisper from the universe's infancy, like finding an old photograph in the attic of the cosmos. Picture this moment, if you will. For the first time in cosmic history, space was dark. Not the rich, star-filled darkness we see when we look up at night, but a profound, empty darkness. The universe had entered what astronomers rather dramatically call the Dark Ages, though there was nothing sinister about them. It was more like the quiet pause between movements in a grand symphony, a moment of stillness before the next beautiful passage begins. But even in that darkness, gravity was quietly at work, as patient and persistent as water shaping stone. Tiny variations in density, quantum fluctuations from the very earliest moments of creation, began to grow. Regions that were just slightly denser than average started to pull in more matter, while less dense regions emptied out. It's rather like how cream separates in coffee if you don't stir it, except here the stirring force was gravity itself, slowly gathering the raw materials for everything that was to come. These growing clumps of matter, mostly the mysterious dark matter that makes up most of the universe's mass, formed vast cosmic web-like structures. If you could have watched this process in fast forward over millions of years, it would have looked like watching a city grow from scattered houses to connected neighborhoods to vast metropolitan areas. Except instead of buildings, you'd be watching the architecture of the universe itself taking shape. Within these growing structures, ordinary matter, the hydrogen and helium forged in those first few minutes, began to collect and concentrate. Gas clouds grew denser and denser until something wonderful happened. When the pressure and temperature at their centers reached a critical point, nuclear fusion ignited, and the first stars blazed to life. After hundreds of millions of years of darkness, the universe lit up again. Not with the harsh glare of its violent birth, but with the gentle, steady light of stellar fire. These first stars were magnificent giants, hundreds of times more massive than our sun, burning bright and blue and living fast. They were the universe's first alchemists, fusing hydrogen and helium into heavier elements in their cores. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, silicon, iron, all the elements that would eventually make planets and people possible, were forged in the nuclear furnaces of these ancient suns. It's rather humbling to realize that the calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you're breathing right now, all of it was created in the heart of a star that died billions of years ago. And die they did, these stellar giants, in spectacular explosions called supernovae that outshone entire galaxies for weeks or months. But their deaths were not endings, they were transformations. The explosions scattered those newly forged elements across space, seeding the universe with the building blocks of complexity. Each supernova was like a cosmic garden, planting seeds that would grow into new generations of stars, planets, and eventually life itself. As more stars formed and died, the universe became richer and more complex. The first galaxies assembled from these stellar communities, vast islands of stars held together by gravity and dark matter. Our own Milky Way began to take shape during this era, though it would be billions of years before our particular corner of it would become interesting enough to call home. Meanwhile, around some of these newer stars, stars enriched with the heavy elements created by their predecessors, something extraordinary was happening. Planets were forming. In swirling disks of gas and dust around young stars, particles began to stick together, growing from specks to pebbles to boulders to worlds. It's rather like watching a cosmic snowball fight in extreme slow motion, except instead of melting, these snowballs kept growing until they became the rocky worlds and gas giants that populate solar systems throughout the universe. And on at least one of these worlds orbiting an ordinary yellow star in an unremarkable spiral galaxy, something truly miraculous occurred. Somehow, in ways we're still trying to understand, non-living matter organized itself into living matter. The first simple cells appeared in ancient oceans, beginning the long, slow process of evolution that would eventually lead to consciousness, to minds capable of looking back across cosmic time and wondering about their origins. This brings us to perhaps the most remarkable part of our story. We are not separate from the universe looking in at it from the outside. We are the universe looking at itself, matter organized in such a way that it can contemplate its own existence. Every atom in your body is a cosmic wanderer, billions of years old, forged in stellar cores and supernova explosions, cooled in the vacuum of space, incorporated into planets, dissolved and reformed countless times before finding its way into the temporary arrangement that is you. Your hydrogen atoms are nearly as old as the universe itself, created in those first few minutes after the Big Bang. The carbon that forms the backbone of your DNA was created in the nuclear furnace of a dying star. The oxygen you breathe was forged when that star exploded, scattering its enriched material into space. You are quite literally made of star stuff, as the astronomer Carl Sagan so beautifully put it, a collection of cosmic dust that has learned to wonder about its origins. 8 billion years after it all began, floating on a small blue world orbiting an ordinary star, able to piece together this extraordinary story through careful observation and brilliant deduction. We've learned to detect the afterglow of creation itself, to peer into the hearts of distant galaxies, to understand the nuclear processes that power the stars. We've traced our lineage back through billions of years of evolution, through the formation of our solar system, through the lives and deaths of countless stars all the way back to that first moment when time began. The story continues, of course. Stars are still being born in stellar nurseries throughout the universe. New planets are still forming. Life may be emerging on countless worlds we haven't discovered yet. Our own sun has billions of years of stable burning ahead of it, and Earth will continue its patient orbit through space, carrying its precious cargo of life through the cosmic dance. But perhaps what's most beautiful about this story is that it's not just about the past, it's about connection. The light from distant stars carries information across vast stretches of space and time, connecting us to events that happened billions of years ago. When you look up at the night sky, you're seeing the universe as it was, not as it is, each point of light a message from the past. The nearest star is so far away that its light takes over 4 years to reach us. So when you see it twinkling, you're seeing it as it was 4 years ago. The light from distant galaxies has been travelling for billions of years to reach your eyes, carrying stories of cosmic events that happened when the universe was young. In a very real sense, we are all time travellers, riding through space on our planetary ship, experiencing the universe one moment at a time, connected to everything that came before and everything that will come after. The carbon in your muscles and the calcium in your bones were forged in stellar cores billions of years ago. The water in your body may have travelled through countless cycles, evaporating from ancient oceans, falling as rain on primordial landscapes, flowing through rivers and streams before finding its way to you. And so our story comes full circle, from the Big Bang to now, from the first moment of time to this quiet instant, as you listen to these words. We began with everything compressed into a point smaller than a period, and we end with a universe vast beyond imagination, filled with galaxies and stars and planets and life, with consciousness able to contemplate its own existence and find meaning in the cosmic story. The universe is still expanding, still cooling, still evolving. New stars are being born while others are dying. New planets are forming while others are being destroyed. The great cosmic dance continues, and we are part of it all, not observers from the outside, but participants in the grandest story ever told, the story of everything that is, was, and ever will be. As you prepare to drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you can carry with you this sense of cosmic connection, this understanding that you are part of something magnificent and ancient and ongoing. The atoms in your body have been on an extraordinary journey, from the heart of the Big Bang, through stellar cores and supernova explosions, through the formation of planets and the evolution of life, to end up temporarily arranged as you, conscious and aware and capable of wonder. Sleep well, fellow cosmic traveller, knowing that you are made of the same stuff as stars, that your existence is part of the universe's long journey toward complexity and consciousness and beauty. 8 billion years ago has been writing its story ever since. The Big Bang gave us time itself, stars forged the elements, and eventually life emerged on a small blue planet. But time, as we've discovered, is far more mysterious than those early moments might suggest. It's not just the steady tick of cosmic expansion or the rhythm of stellar birth and death. Time bends, stretches, and perhaps most remarkably, exists in the most intimate spaces of our daily lives. You see, while the universe was busy creating galaxies and solar systems, something equally extraordinary was happening on a much smaller scale. Life was learning to keep time. Every organism that emerged from those primordial seas carried within it an ancient clock, a biological timekeeper that would prove just as fundamental as gravity or electromagnetism. This is the story of how time became personal, how it moved from the vast emptiness between stars into the very cells of living things. Long before humans invented sundials or atomic clocks, life was already a master timekeeper. The earliest bacteria, floating in prehistoric oceans, developed internal rhythms that matched the planet's rotation. They knew in their simple cellular way when day turned to night, when to photosynthesize, when to rest. This wasn't conscious awareness, of course, but something far more fundamental. Life, it seems, was designed to dance with time from the very beginning. Consider the humble cyanobacteria, those ancient blue-green organisms that first learned to harvest sunlight. Billions of years ago, they developed what we now call circadian rhythms, internal clocks that tick along with Earth's 24-hour rotation. These microscopic timekeepers were so successful that virtually every living thing that followed would inherit some version of their temporal wisdom. From the smallest fungus to the largest whale, from the briefest flower to the longest-lived tree, all carry within them the echo of those first biological clocks. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. These internal clocks aren't just passive responses to the external world. They're anticipatory, predictive, almost prophetic in their precision. A sunflower doesn't just follow the sun because it sees light. It begins turning east before dawn, preparing for sunrise. Plants don't simply react to seasonal changes. They begin preparing for winter weeks before the first frost. Their internal calendar's more reliable than weather forecasts. This anticipatory nature of biological time reveals something profound about life itself. Living things don't just exist in time, they collaborate with it. They've learned to read time's subtle signals, to prepare for what's coming next. It's as if life and time entered into an ancient partnership, a cosmic dance that's been ongoing for billions of years. In humans, this partnership reaches extraordinary complexity. We don't just have one biological clock, we have an entire orchestra of them. The master conductor sits in a tiny cluster of brain cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, no bigger than a grain of rice tucked behind your eyes. This microscopic timekeeper receives direct input from your retinas, constantly adjusting your internal rhythms to match the external world. It's been called the body's master clock, but that understates its elegance. It's more like a master composer orchestrating dozens of biological rhythms throughout your body. Your liver has its own clock, optimizing digestion and metabolism according to when you typically eat. Your muscles have clocks that regulate strength and endurance, which is why Olympic records are more often broken in late afternoon when body temperature peaks. Your immune system runs on circadian time, ramping up infection-fighting activity during sleep. Even your skin cells follow daily rhythms, which is why wounds heal faster during certain hours. These aren't just interesting biological curiosities, they're evidence of something remarkable. Time isn't just the stage on which life performs. Time is woven into the very fabric of what it means to be alive. Every heartbeat, every breath, every moment of cellular repair follows rhythms that connect us to the rotation of our planet, the orbit around our star, the ancient dance of day and night that has been unfolding since Earth first began to spin. But biological time does something even more extraordinary. It gives life a sense of anticipation, a way of preparing for the future. When autumn days grow shorter, trees don't just react to the cold, they begin shutting down chlorophyll production, withdrawing nutrients into their roots, preparing for months of winter dormancy. They're not just responding to what is, they're preparing for what will be. This is biological prophecy, written in the language of cellular clocks. In humans, this anticipatory quality of biological time shapes our most fundamental experiences. We don't just wake up randomly. Our body temperature begins rising before dawn, cortisol levels surge, our metabolism shifts into gear. We're preparing to be awake before we actually awaken. Similarly, we don't just fall asleep when exhaustion hits. Hours before bedtime, our core temperature begins dropping, melatonin starts flowing, our brain waves begin shifting towards slower frequencies. We're preparing for sleep long before our heads hit the pillow. This biological preparation for the future gives life a unique relationship with time. While physics describes time as a dimension we move through, biology experiences time as something we collaborate with. We don't just exist in the present moment, we're constantly preparing for the next moment, and the moment after that. Life is always leaning into the future, guided by ancient rhythms that connect us to the deepest patterns of our planet and solar system. Even our psychology reflects this biological relationship with time. We dream during specific sleep phases, our creativity peaks at certain hours, our mood follows predictable daily patterns. Depression often involves disrupted circadian rhythms, as if the internal clocks that normally keep us synchronized with the world have fallen out of tune. Healing, both physical and emotional, follows temporal patterns that we're only beginning to understand. What's perhaps most beautiful about biological time is how it connects us to the larger cosmos while remaining intimately personal. The same forces that govern the expansion of the universe, the orbit of planets, the life cycle of stars, also pulse through our cells, regulate our sleep, and influence our dreams. We are, quite literally, made of star stuff that has learned to keep time. The calcium in our bones was forged in stellar explosions, and now it helps regulate the neural signals that maintain our circadian rhythms. The iron in our blood carries oxygen through vessels that dilate and contract according to daily cycles that echo the planet's rotation. We are walking, breathing examples of how the universe's matter has organized itself into patterns that can anticipate tomorrow while living fully in today. This biological mastery of time also reveals something profound about consciousness itself. Awareness isn't just the ability to perceive the present moment, it's the capacity to exist simultaneously in past, present, and future. We remember breakfast while planning dinner. We carry childhood experiences into adult decisions. We dream of futures that may never come to pass. Consciousness, it seems, is time made self-aware, and perhaps this is why time feels so personal, so emotionally charged, so central to human experience. We're not just observers of time passing, we're biological expressions of time itself, organisms that have evolved to embody temporal rhythms, to live in harmony with cycles that stretch from the cellular level to the cosmic scale. When we feel the passage of time, we're feeling the universe keeping time through us. So as you drift towards sleep tonight, remember that you're not just resting, you're participating in a biological ritual that connects you to every living thing that has ever existed. Your slowing breath, your dropping body temperature, your shifting brainwaves are all part of an ancient choreography, a dance with time that began billions of years ago and continues in every cell of your body. Now, as we've traced time from quantum waves to circadian rhythms, from atomic precision to psychological elasticity, we find ourselves at yet another fascinating intersection where time meets consciousness itself. Because while physicists debate whether time is fundamental or emergent, and while our bodies tick along to ancient biological rhythms, there's something else at play. Something uniquely human that transforms mere temporal measurement into lived experience. Something we call memory. Memory is perhaps the most intimate relationship we have with time. It's how we carry the past with us, how we learn from yesterday to navigate tomorrow, and how we construct the very sense of self that moves through each moment. Without memory, time would be nothing more than an endless, meaningless present. With it, time becomes story, identity, wisdom, and sometimes beautiful melancholy. Think about your earliest memory for a moment. Maybe it's a birthday party with candles flickering in the twilight, or the feeling of your grandmother's hand in yours, or the sound of rain against a childhood bedroom window. That memory isn't just a recording of what happened. It's a bridge across time, connecting who you were then to who you are now. It's proof that the past isn't truly gone. It lives on in the patterns of your neural networks, shaping every decision you make and every dream you carry. But memory is a curious time traveler. Unlike the precise ticking of atomic clocks, our memories are fluid, selective, and wonderfully unreliable. We don't remember everything equally. Instead, our brains act like careful editors, highlighting some moments while letting others fade into the background. The result is a personal timeline that's less like a documentary and more like a collection of impressions, emotions, and half-remembered conversations. This selective nature of memory serves an important purpose. If we remembered every single moment with perfect clarity, our minds would be overwhelmed by an endless flood of trivial details. Instead, we tend to remember firsts, lasts, peaks, and turning points. Your first day at school, the last conversation with someone you loved, the moment you felt most proud, the day everything changed. These memories become the chapters in your personal story, the landmarks that help you navigate the landscape of your own life. Neuroscientists have discovered that when we recall a memory, we're not simply playing back a recording. Instead, we're reconstructing the experience from scattered fragments stored throughout the brain. Visual details might be stored in one area, emotions in another, sounds and smells in yet another region. When you remember that childhood birthday party, your brain is pulling together pieces from different neural neighborhoods, weaving them into what feels like a coherent, complete memory. This reconstructive process means that our memories change slightly each time we recall them. Like a story passed down through generations, details shift, emotions intensify or fade, and new meaning emerges with each telling. The memory you have of your 10th birthday isn't quite the same as the one you had when you were 20, and it won't be quite the same when you're 70. Memory doesn't preserve the past so much as it reinterprets it, allowing our relationship with our own history to evolve as we do. There's something deeply poetic about this. Our memories aren't fixed monuments to what was, but living, breathing connections to who we've been. They grow and change with us, offering new insights and different perspectives as we accumulate more experience. That childhood argument with a sibling might have felt earth-shaking at the time, but remembered from the vantage point of adulthood, it becomes tender, even funny. The memory itself transforms, carrying different emotional weight, offering different lessons. This flexibility of memory also means we're constantly editing our own life stories. We emphasize certain themes, downplay others, and gradually construct a narrative that helps us make sense of who we are. The shy child who became confident, the dreamer who learned practicality, the skeptic who discovered wonder. These aren't just descriptions of change over time, they're stories we tell ourselves using memory as both the raw material and the editing suite. But memory's relationship with time goes beyond personal history. It's also how we learn to predict the future. Every time you reach for a light switch in the dark, you're using memory to navigate space. Every time you decide whether to trust someone, you're drawing on remembered patterns of behavior. Every time you choose what to have for lunch, you're consulting a vast library of past experiences with different foods, different moods, different moments of satisfaction or regret. In this way, memory doesn't just preserve the past, it actively shapes the future. The experiences you remember inform the choices you make, and those choices create new experiences to be remembered. It's a continuous loop where past and future dance together in the eternal now of decision-making. Sleep plays a fascinating role in this dance of memory and time. During the day, as you move through experiences, your brain is constantly taking notes, storing temporary impressions in a region called the hippocampus. But it's during sleep, particularly during deep sleep and REM cycles, that these temporary notes get processed, sorted, and filed away in long-term storage. Sleep is when your brain decides what's worth keeping and what can be forgotten, when today's experiences get woven into the larger tapestry of your life story. This is why a good night's sleep can sometimes bring clarity to confusing situations, or why the solution to a problem might suddenly appear after you've stopped actively thinking about it. Your sleeping brain is working through the day's experiences, connecting them to older memories, finding patterns and meaning that weren't obvious in the moment. In a very real sense, you wake up each morning with a slightly different relationship to your own past, as sleep has quietly reorganized your memories, shifting some into prominence while letting others recede. Dreams, those strange nocturnal narratives, seem to be part of this memory consolidation process. In dreams, recent experiences mix with older memories in surreal combinations. You might dream of having a conversation with your childhood teacher in your current workplace, or find yourself solving today's problems using tools from a long ago vacation. These aren't just random neural firing patterns, they're your brain exploring connections, testing possibilities, and integrating new experiences into the vast network of everything you've ever known. There's also the curious phenomenon of how memory shapes our perception of time's passage. Vivid memories can make recent events feel distant, while hazy recollections can make long-ago experiences feel surprisingly recent. You might remember exactly what you were doing when you heard important news, and that memory might feel as fresh as yesterday, even if it happened years ago. Conversely, you might struggle to remember what you had for breakfast last Tuesday, making last week feel strangely remote. This selective preservation of memory contributes to the strange elasticity of psychological time. Periods of your life rich with new experiences and vivid memories feel longer when you look back on them. That month you spent traveling to new places, or the intense first weeks of a new job, or the early days of falling in love, these memory-dense periods expand in retrospect, feeling like they contained more time than the calendar would suggest. Meanwhile, routine periods with fewer distinctive memories compress in recollection. Years of familiar patterns, comfortable habits, and predictable days can blur together into what feels like a much shorter span. It's not that those years were less meaningful, but they created fewer unique memory markers, fewer distinct chapters in your personal story. As we age, this relationship between memory and the perception of time becomes even more pronounced. Children, constantly encountering new experiences, lay down rich, detailed memories that make their summers feel endless and their years feel vast. Adults, settled into routines and familiar patterns, may find that years seem to pass more quickly, not because time itself has accelerated, but because fewer experiences rise to the level of memorable distinctiveness. But here's something wonderful about the way memory works with time. Even though we can't travel back to change the past, we can change our relationship with it. Through reflection, therapy, storytelling, or simply the passage of more time, we can discover new meaning in old experiences. A painful memory might reveal hidden strengths. An embarrassing moment might become a source of humour. A loss might transform into gratitude for what was shared. This ability to reinterpret our memories means that our past is never quite finished. It continues to evolve, offering new gifts of understanding, new sources of wisdom, new reasons for compassion toward our younger selves. In this sense, memory makes us time travelers not just backward into what was, but forward into new possibilities for meaning and growth. And as you lie here now, perhaps feeling the day's experiences beginning to settle into memory, you're participating in this ancient process of weaving time into story, experience into wisdom, moments into meaning. Your brain is quietly deciding what from today deserves a place in tomorrow's memories, what lessons might be worth carrying forward, what beauty might be worth preserving. The conversation you had, the sunset you noticed, the moment of kindness you witnessed or offered, these are becoming part of the vast, interconnected web of memory that makes you who you are. And tomorrow, when you wake, you'll carry forward not just the facts of today, but the meaning you've made from them, the story you've woven from the raw material of lived time. Time may be mysterious, elastic, possibly even illusory at the deepest levels of physics. But through memory, we make it real, personal, meaningful. We transform the abstract flow of moments into the intimate narrative of a life lived, remembered, and continuously retold. We are time travelers. Each and every one of us, drifting through dimensions most of us never think to question. But unlike the heroes of science fiction, we can't leap decades into the future or slip backwards to witness history unfold. Instead, we travel through time in the most intimate way possible, through memory, through consciousness, through the gentle rhythm of our own awareness. Think about it for a moment. Right now, as you listen to these words, you're simultaneously existing in three different worlds. There's the present moment, this very second where your breath rises and falls, where sounds reach your ears and thoughts flutter through your mind. But there's also the past, alive and vivid in your memory, filled with faces you've loved, places you've been, moments that shaped who you are. And then there's the future, that mysterious landscape of hopes and plans and possibilities stretching out before you like an uncharted sea. This is perhaps the most beautiful paradox of human existence. We live in the now, but we're never truly confined to it. Our minds are time machines, constantly weaving between what was, what is, and what might be. Every memory you hold is a kind of time travel, a journey back to a version of yourself that once stood in a different moment, breathing different air, seeing the world through slightly different eyes. But memory isn't just a recording device, some biological hard drive storing data from our past. It's far more creative, more alive than that. Every time you remember something, you're not simply playing back a recording, you're reconstructing the experience, rebuilding it from fragments of sensation, emotion, and meaning. Your brain takes these scattered pieces, these neural breadcrumbs, and weaves them into a story that feels complete and real. This is why memory can be so wonderfully unreliable. That childhood summer that felt like it lasted forever. That embarrassing moment that seems burned into your consciousness with laser precision. That conversation you had last week that you remember quite differently from the other person who was there. Memory isn't a historian seeking objective truth. It's more like a poet, more interested in meaning than in facts, more concerned with how things felt than with exactly how they were. And this poetic quality of memory shapes not just how we remember the past, but how we experience time itself. When you were young and everything was new, your brain was constantly recording, constantly learning, constantly building new neural pathways. Days were packed with novel experiences, with first times and discoveries. Looking back, those periods feel rich and full, stretched out like an accordion of experience. But as we settle into routines, as the new becomes familiar and the extraordinary becomes ordinary, our brains become more efficient. They start to compress experiences, to file away the predictable and focus on the unusual. A week where nothing particularly noteworthy happens might leave barely a trace in memory, while a single afternoon of unexpected adventure can feel like it contains more life than a month of routine. This is why time seems to accelerate as we age. It's not that the days are actually getting shorter, but that we're collecting fewer distinct memories to mark their passage. The solution, if we choose to see it as a problem, is beautifully simple. Seek out the new, the different, the slightly uncomfortable. Take a different route home, try a food you've never tasted, have a conversation with someone whose perspective challenges your own. Not because you need to live every moment to the fullest, but because novelty creates the mental landmarks that make time feel rich and full. But memory doesn't just shape our relationship with the past, it's also the foundation of our sense of self. You are, in many ways, the sum of your memories, the accumulated story of all the moments that have brought you to this present instant. The child who learned to ride a bicycle, the teenager who fell in love for the first time, the adult who made difficult choices and lived with their consequences. All of these versions of you exist simultaneously in memory, creating the continuity of identity that allows you to wake up each morning knowing who you are. Yet even this sense of continuous self is more fluid than we often realize. The person you were 5 years ago held different beliefs, different priorities, different dreams. In some ways, you're already a different person than you were when you started listening to these words. Every moment changes us, subtly but irreversibly, adding new layers to the ongoing story of who we are. And then there's sleep, that daily journey into altered consciousness that we so often take for granted. Sleep isn't just rest for the body. It's when the brain does some of its most important work with memory, sorting through the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to discard, weaving new memories into the existing tapestry of your life story. During sleep, particularly during the dreaming phases, your brain rehearses and consolidates memories, strengthening the connections between neurons that encode important experiences. But it also does something even more remarkable. It finds patterns, makes connections, creates meaning from the seemingly random events of daily life. That moment of inspiration you have upon waking, that solution to a problem that seemed impossible the night before, these often arise from the brain's nighttime work of connecting dots you didn't even know existed. Dreams themselves are perhaps the strangest form of time travel we experience. In dreams, past and future collapse into a fluid present where anything is possible. You might find yourself as a child in your current home, or having a conversation with someone who died years ago, or experiencing events that feel simultaneously familiar and completely impossible. Time in dreams doesn't follow the rules of waking life. Minutes can feel like hours, or entire lifetimes can flash by in an instant. Some scientists believe that dreams are simply the brain's way of processing information, a kind of neurological housekeeping that happens while we sleep. But others suggest they serve a deeper purpose, allowing us to explore possibilities, to rehearse for future challenges, to work through emotions and experiences in a safe, consequence-free environment. In dreams, we can be anyone, do anything, go anywhere. We can revisit the past with the wisdom of the present, or explore futures that may never come to pass. This brings us to perhaps the most profound aspect of human time travel, our ability to imagine the future. Unlike other animals, which live primarily in the present moment, humans spend enormous amounts of mental energy thinking about what's to come. We plan, we worry, we hope, we dream, we create detailed scenarios of how we think things will unfold, and then we adjust our present behavior based on these imagined futures. This capacity for future thinking is both a gift and a burden. It allows us to prepare, to save, to learn, to grow. It's what enables us to plant seeds knowing we won't see the harvest for months, to study for years, to master a skill, to make sacrifices today for benefits that may not come until much later. But it also means we can worry about things that may never happen. can become paralyzed by the infinite possibilities that lie ahead, can spend so much time thinking about tomorrow that we forget to fully experience today. The relationship between memory, consciousness, and time creates the unique human experience of temporal existence. We don't just live through time, we inhabit it, we shape it with our attention and our imagination. The moment you choose to remember becomes more real, more vivid, more significant. The future you choose to imagine becomes more likely to influence your present choices. And in this eternal dance between past, present, and future, we find something approaching the sacred. Every memory is a small miracle, a resurrection of a moment that would otherwise be lost forever. Every act of imagination is a creation, bringing into being possibilities that didn't exist before. Every moment of consciousness is a meeting point where all of time converges, where the vast history of the universe touches the infinite potential of the future. So as you rest tonight, as your consciousness begins to soften and drift towards sleep, remember that you are not just a passive observer of time's passage. You are an active participant in the creation of meaning, the weaving of stories, the transformation of raw experience into the rich tapestry of a life lived with awareness and intention. Your memories are not burdens to carry, but treasures to cherish. Your dreams are not mere neural static, but explorations of possibility. Your hopes for the future are not idle fantasies, but the seeds of tomorrow's reality. As we drift toward the close of our cosmic journey, we find ourselves at a curious crossroads where time meets consciousness, where the vast sweep of universal history converges with the intimate rhythm of a single heartbeat. We've travelled from the first tick of existence to the gentle uncertainty of what lies ahead, and now in these final moments together, we arrive at perhaps the most beautiful mystery of all: how we, as conscious beings, actually live within time itself. You see, after all our wandering through physics and philosophy, through quantum uncertainties and relativistic curves, we return to something wonderfully simple and deeply personal. Time, whatever it truly is at the deepest level, becomes real through us, through our awareness, our memories, our hopes and dreams. We are not just passengers on time's river, we are the ones who give it meaning, who transform its abstract flow into stories, into love, into the quiet satisfaction of a day well spent. Think about it for a moment. A star burns for billions of years, but it doesn't know it's burning. A mountain stands for millions of years, but it doesn't feel the weight of centuries. Only we, conscious creatures, with our brief flicker of awareness, can look up at the night sky and feel the vast sweep of cosmic time. Only we can hold a photograph and feel the ache of years gone by, or plan a garden and feel the hope of seasons yet to come. We are time's storytellers, its poets, its witnesses, and what stories we tell. Every human life is a unique thread in time's great tapestry, woven from moments both ordinary and extraordinary. The first time you rode a bicycle, the taste of your grandmother's cooking, the way sunlight looked through your childhood bedroom window, the nervous excitement of a first kiss, the quiet pride of a job well done. These moments, strung together like pearls on an invisible string, create something that didn't exist before: a conscious experience of temporality, a lived understanding of what it means to move through time. But here's the truly remarkable thing. While we experience time as a flowing river, our memories allow us to be time travelers of a sort. Close your eyes and think of a moment from your past. Perhaps it's a lazy summer afternoon from your childhood, when time seemed to stretch endlessly and the whole world felt full of possibility. For a moment, aren't you there again? Your memory has carried you backward through time, not in body, but in consciousness. You can smell the grass, feel the warmth of the sun, hear the distant sound of laughter. In that instant, past and present collapse into one eternal now. This is the magic of human consciousness in time. We live in the present moment, but we carry the past with us like a library of experiences, and we project into the future with our hopes and plans and dreams. We are, in a very real sense, time's way of knowing itself. Through us, the universe becomes aware of its own history, its own unfolding story. Scientists tell us that the atoms in our bodies were forged in the hearts of ancient stars, and this connects us to the deepest history of the cosmos. But there's another connection, equally profound. The very fact that we can contemplate time, that we can feel its passage and wonder about its nature, makes us active participants in time's ongoing creation. Every moment of awareness, every conscious experience adds something new to the universe's understanding of itself. And perhaps this is why time feels so precious to us. We sense, even if we can't quite articulate it, that our conscious experience of time is something rare and valuable. In all the vast emptiness of space, on all the countless worlds that circle distant stars, consciousness capable of contemplating time may be exceedingly rare. We are, in a very real sense, the universe's way of experiencing wonder, of feeling the poignancy of impermanence, of creating meaning from the raw material of temporal flow. This gives our lives a cosmic significance that has nothing to do with fame or achievement in the conventional sense. Simply by being aware, by experiencing the passage of time consciously, by feeling the bittersweet beauty of moments that come and go, we are participating in something magnificent. We are time's companions, its interpreters, its grateful witnesses. And in our sleep, when consciousness dims and dreams take over, we continue this strange dance with time. Dreams scramble our sense of sequence, mix past and future, create impossible narratives where we're simultaneously child and adult, where we meet people long gone and visit places that exist only in memory. In dreams, we experience time as the fluid, malleable thing that physics suggests it might actually be. We become poets of temporality, creating meaning from the fragments of experience that drift through our sleeping minds. Even our biological rhythms connect us to time's deeper patterns. Our heartbeat, our breathing, our cycles of sleep and waking all synchronize us with the cosmic dance of day and night, season and season, the great wheel of time that has been turning since the earth first began to spin. We are not separate from time, we are woven into its very fabric, part of its ongoing creation. As we prepare to part ways, you and I, as this particular moment in time draws to a close, I want you to remember this. You are not just living in time, you are helping to create it. Every moment of awareness, every conscious breath, every gentle drift towards sleep is a collaboration with the universe itself. You are time's partner in the great work of becoming, of transformation, of the endless unfolding that began with the Big Bang and continues in your heartbeat, in your dreams, in the quiet rhythm of your thoughts as you settle into rest. So as you close your eyes tonight, as you feel yourself drifting on the edge of sleep, remember that you carry within you the entire history of the cosmos. From the first moment of creation to this very instant, an unbroken chain of events has led to you here now, conscious and aware and beautifully, temporarily alive. You are both ancient and utterly new, both infinitesimal and cosmic, both a fleeting moment and an eternal presence in the ongoing story of time itself. Sleep well, fellow traveller. In your dreams, time will continue its gentle magic, weaving new stories from the threads of memory and hope. And when you wake, you'll step once again into the flowing river of moments, carrying with you the deep knowledge that you are not just in time, but of time. Not just witnessing the universe's story, but actively writing it with every conscious breath, every moment of awareness, every gentle transition from wake to sleep and back to wake again. The cosmos sleeps in your dreams and dreams in your waking. Time flows through you, and you through time in an endless dance of consciousness and cosmos, moment and eternity, the tick of the clock and the timeless rhythm of the heart. as we come to the end of our gentle expedition through time, perhaps the strangest realization of all is this: time, whether it flows or stands still, whether it's fundamental or emergent, has brought you here to this moment. You've travelled from the first tick of cosmic clocks to the quantum realms where time dissolves into possibility. You've felt time stretch in your memory and compress in your dreams. And now here you are, a conscious being aware of time's passage, carrying within you the rhythms of ancient stars and the quiet beating of your own heart. Think about it for a moment. Every atom in your body was forged in the nuclear furnaces of dying stars billions of years ago. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the oxygen you breathe, all of it has been journeying through space and time long before Earth existed, long before life began its slow dance of evolution. You are quite literally made of time itself. Stardust arranged in such an exquisite way that you can contemplate your own existence, wonder about the nature of time, and drift peacefully towards sleep while pondering the cosmos. Your heartbeat follows rhythms older than memory, pulsing in harmony with circadian cycles that connect you to the spinning of the planet and the ancient dance of light and shadow. Even as you rest, your body keeps its own time, repairing cells, consolidating memories, preparing for tomorrow's adventures. Time flows through you and around you, invisible but essential, like the air you breathe or the gravity that holds you gently to the earth. And what of consciousness itself, that mysterious flame that allows you to experience time's passage? Here you are, a collection of particles arranged in such a way that the universe can know itself, can look back through billions of years and forward into infinite possibility. Through your awareness, time becomes more than just change. It becomes story, meaning the canvas on which life paints its endless masterpiece. In your dreams tonight, time will play by different rules. Minutes might feel like hours, or years might compress into heartbeats. You might revisit the past, explore impossible futures, or drift in timeless spaces where logic bends and wonder blooms. Dreams are perhaps time's most playful creation, a nightly reminder that our experience of temporal flow is far richer and stranger than any clock could measure. Consider too how time has been humanity's greatest teacher. It has shown us that everything changes, that nothing lasts forever, and yet somehow this impermanence makes each moment more precious, not less. The ancient Greeks had two words for time: chronos, the mechanical ticking of minutes and hours, and kairos, the perfect moment, the right time, the fullness of experience. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, you exist in kairos time, immersed in the eternal now, where past and future dissolve into pure being. Time has also been our greatest gift giver. It gave us memory, that extraordinary ability to carry the past with us, to learn from experience, to build upon what came before. It gave us anticipation, the capacity to imagine tomorrow, to plan and hope and dream. And perhaps most wonderfully, it gave us the present moment, this breath, this heartbeat, this gentle settling into rest where all of time converges into now. Throughout human history, we've tried to capture time, measure it, understand it, sometimes even defeat it. We've built sundials and water clocks, mechanical timepieces and atomic chronometers. We've written poetry about time's passage, composed music that plays with temporal rhythms, created art that freezes moments in eternal beauty. All of these are love letters to time, acknowledgements of its power and mystery, attempts to dance gracefully with the invisible partner that guides every step of our lives. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about time is how it connects us. Right now, as you listen to these words, you're sharing this moment with countless others scattered across the globe. Some are watching the sunrise, others the sunset. Some are beginning their day, others ending it. Yet here you all are, united in this quiet exploration of time's mysteries, proof that even in our individual journeys through the temporal landscape, we're never truly alone. Time is the river that carries all of our stories. It's the rhythm that underlies every song, the beat that moves every dance, the pulse that animates every heart. It's both the question and the answer, the journey and the destination, the mystery that science explores and the wonder that poetry celebrates. And somehow, miraculously, it has arranged itself in such a way that you exist, that you can ponder these mysteries, that you can find peace in contemplating the vast cosmic story of which you are an essential part. So, as you prepare to let go of today and drift into the timeless realm of sleep, carry with you this gentle truth. You are time-made conscious, stardust arranged into awareness, a temporary but magnificent expression of the universe's endless creativity. Your dreams tonight will be time's gift to you, a private screening of possibility where the rules of Chronos give way to the magic of Kairos. Rest well, fellow traveller through time. Tomorrow awaits with new moments to savour, new experiences to gather, new chapters to write in the ongoing story of your journey through this strange and beautiful dimension we call time. But for now, let time's gentle current carry you towards sleep, knowing that you are exactly where and when you need to be, held safely in the eternal embrace of the present moment. We hope you enjoyed the story tonight. Before we end our journey, can you comment where you're watching from? Also, let us know what time it is there. We love to hear people joining us from around the world to be a part of our community. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy this story. Good night, fellow space explorer.